lift the biggest sleeper.
Yeah, right. Eliane, what's in your garden?
I don't have a garden. I have window boxes. I'm in Paris. Hi, Jersey.
Hey, hi everyone.
Good morning, teacher.
Hi, Jersey.
Hey, everyone is good? Happy?
Fantastic.
Happy as a pig.
In pig in what? My mother grew up on a farm.
Deborah.
The language of that woman.
Hey, okay, so day what? 4? Day 4.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we got derailed yesterday a little bit off our what we do. So I have a question: how did it happen that we got derailed so much? Anybody?
Well, I promised I'd keep my camera off and my microphone mute, but I lied. Sorry, I don't usually do that. I think I was partially to blame because I was trying to relate a present situation with what we're talking about in the happy body. And I think we need to get back to the happy body and your agenda and everybody else's agenda.
Yeah, and how that really is useful in our way in the wholeness. So how is it useful in the wholeness? What's going on with what we do and what the world is doing, the whole world?
Well, there's an expression called when the rubber hits the road. And I think what this kind of situation does is make us examine our values and come to a decision about what we really believe in and how we might aid in bringing around goodness, to use our vocabulary, to bring goodness to the world.
So what happens yesterday?
I think we got focused on what was outside of our control and what was outside of us rather than ourselves and our response.
Right, we started what? Talking about what? About, right? About something. Not really something that is not what we actually do, right? And that took us away from, the focus that we have. But the other thing is also that took us away into something else. And we started really being lost in, how to handle whatever it is in front of us, right? Because it is simply not up to us. Some of it, right? And what is it really up to us that, we need to focus on that. Why we would focus on that? What, how, the question is, how would you eliminate racism? How would you do that?
Well, you have to put a high cost on being a racist. I mean, I was thinking that the Me Too movement, to some extent, has been successful because people have gone to jail or they get fined, heavily, and they lose their reputations. And with Jeffrey Epstein, he loses his life. I mean, he's
so you simply got engaged with who did something wrong, and women came and said that they were abused and raped and taken advantage of, right? Because without them, we wouldn't do anything. Yes?
Yeah, and so that outing of those people had a cost. They went to jail, so that to end racism, I mean, you have to do two things. You have to change the mindset from early on because we're trained from very early on to be racist. That's the dominant cultures teaching us to have implicit bias. Those are deeply ingrained thinking that we respond to almost automatically. So you have to work on that. But another thing, those the individual can do, but as a society, we have to make sure that there's a real heavy cost to people being racist. And Mr. Trump, if he's behaving like a racist and he's empowering white supremacists and racist ideologies, he needs to be fired.
But
He needs to be held accountable. There has to be a cost, or racism will never go away.
Now
You
we
have
go
to
again
have a
into the talking too much about, it's more important whether, how you, whether you actually catch the racist doing wrong things and send him to the prison. You don't do anything to eliminate racism. He's still racist in the jail. Will come out of the jail and will be still racist. How we would eliminate racism?
Well, Henry is saying punishing it.
What is it?
I think Henry's point is he's saying to punish it.
Punish is okay, but doesn't eliminate racism. Yeah, well, we need to punish them, of course, right? Like we need to punish the rapists and Me Too movement, but it doesn't eliminate rapists, right? Doesn't do anything with the rapists. The rapists go to the prison and still a rapist. Will come out of the prison and will be the rapist. So we don't do anything to actually work on, eliminating racism, right? So if we change laws and adjust, we don't do anything to, racism. We just can catch people doing wrong things, right? That's what we want. We want to catch them, right? And do the wrong thing. And in this way, we can at least, punish people who are racist. But we do not do anything to eliminate racism. How would you eliminate racism?
Well,
It starts with. Hang on.
Go ahead, Henry.
Presumably, you need to educate people. You need to change the way people think. That's the only way you can eliminate racism.
Right. So in a way, it has to be pursuing the world of virtues, right? In order to create a virtuous person, because a person of virtue wouldn't be a racist and wouldn't be a bully at all, wouldn't just do those things. Right?
Yeah, the master's not a racist.
Exactly, it is not. He's a loving human being, loves the planet, loves people, loves animals, loves everything, right? And would never compromise, would never take advantage of the weaker, right? So becoming the person like that is a solution. And working on people to become people like that, that is a solution. Do we do that?
I'm sorry, what did you ask, Jersey?
Do we do anything in order to create virtuous people in the world?
Do we do that?
Yeah, like as a whole planet, do we do that?
Not enough.
No, almost nothing. Almost nothing. Right? And we don't even know that, the philosophy that could help, like Stoicism or logotherapy, Viktor Frankl's therapy, it's not completely, nothing is embraced. It's like doesn't exist. Why then? Why?
Because it's always the hard choice.
Exactly. Because it's a really hard choice and it's an individual choice. It is not fixing other people somewhere there, right? It is really working on yourself. And that ways, working on yourself can be very inconvenient, because not becoming not a rapist, it can be not convenient. Becoming, not a racist, it can be not convenient, and on, or not complaining or not blaming, and on and on and on, right? Not becoming a bully, very inconvenient. So how would you, turn around the one that is a bully simply not to be a bully? Good luck, right? The whole world is run by bullies, and the whole world is loving it. Okay, now what are you going to do? What?
Well, I think you're showing us what you're doing in your small way in terms of trying to educate a group of people around not only, well, the first draw is exercise and fitness, but the one that comes in is your message to us. And somehow, given if we believe that message and we embrace that message, then we will take it forward to someone else. In my room here, I have, and I'm not a religious person at all, but I have the Corinthians 13.4, I think that's the verse, and it's the first book, Love is Patient, Love is Kind. And I first read it at a marriage, but the more I read it and the more I see it, the more that is the way it needs to be, that love never fails. And I think that's the message that we need to take forward.
Yeah, well, and you can expand this, right, to the experience of the relationship, expand to the body, taking care of the body and loving the body. You can expand that feelings, and it can help you to be kind and to open that feeling of kindness to yourself. When you open and start feeling the goodness of it, it can help you to expand this to people, that there are other people that are different than you, lesbian, gays, and Chinese, and black, whatever they are, right? Weak and short and tall, and then obese and not really. So you can expand this kindness to everyone, and then you can expand this kindness to the present moment of that everyone. So you eliminate this expectation and self-judgment to the human being, that human being is something wrong with that human being. Can embrace that one and help that one to start. But if you have the idea that the other one is less than you, or is supposed to be, then the world will never change for better. And in order to really start, to do something that is powerful enough to make a difference, we have to start with ourselves, everyone, becoming a just virtuous human being. And it's really hard. It's a hard choice. Philosophy tried to do that. The religion tried to do that, and nobody ever succeeded with that. It's so hard. It's so hard to be a good person. But I think that's the only solution for humanity to get better. We are not getting better. I mean, we are not getting better anywhere. It really doesn't matter wherever it is. We are not getting better. And we are not getting better because we have too few people that are virtuous in the world. We need many of them. We need thousands of them. Not that we are that we are reactive to things, but we have the minds that the mind that can predict, can plan, can can do something in this situation that the mind is constructed. Martin Luther King fought for civil rights bill, and it was very clear what they were fighting at that time. That was the fight. It was very clear. Solidarity fought for very clear, thing to get rid of communism from the country and oppression. So somehow, but that is, somehow you can see it. Like communism was something that we could see it. It could go away, right? The civil rights bill was something that could happen. So when we want to do certain things, we really have to have some kind of a vision and plan and where we are going. So meantime, the virtues are really extremely important, because when you watch Martin Luther King, he was definitely a person of virtue. His letters, his speeches. Malcolm X was different, a little bit angry, wanted to, hate for hate, right? Does it work? Not much. So Martin Luther King was non-violence resistant. Solidarity was non-violent resistant. Gandhi, and was very successful. Was very successful, but run by virtuous people. And
Seriously, aren't these examples of goodness in the world? How, there are people striving for goodness on small levels and big levels, so we, the badness comes forward, but the goodness is still there.
Sure, it's really hard to find it though. It's like those acts of virtuous people. It's really hard to find. If you go to school, how many teachers would be that way? And if they are that way, then students will feel so good in the class, right? In the classroom. So is it the good feeling in classrooms of, teenagers? Really, students feel good in a classroom. So if they don't feel good, that means we all fail. We don't have these people, the goodness people, virtuous people, because we fall right away into some kind of judgment. And once we fall into the judgment, then we lose the love of the wholeness. And once we fall into it, and in a small thing, what we should, what we shouldn't, and who is more and who is less, and so on, then we lose that virtue. And we lose the good, the pursuit of it. The hard choices in life is, it's important to, to make if you want to become a better person. 2,500 years from Socrates and Buddhism and so on, we simply didn't succeed on the emotional level to create better people. The world is still ran by bullies, simply by bullies. And I think that the bully is in the center of it. You remove the bully, then, or you help the bully not to be bullied, because that's how it's supposed to be, right? Yeah, because the bully is the racist, the bully is the rapist, and the bully is all of it, right? So how you're going to create a world without bullies? They have to educate or help bullies to see that bullying is not good. Well, it has to be really extremely hard choice, because bullies love to be bullies, first of all, right? So right away you have the system, that system can deal with it in some ways. It doesn't mean the system eliminate racism. Like, civil rights bill came, it doesn't mean that it eliminated, racism. It helped, right, to vote and so on, right? It moved us forward in the laws and to establish better laws. Well, but it didn't really eliminate racism. Racism is something deep. It's a believing system. It is in us, inside. And you cannot uproot that no matter how much power you have. You cannot really do anything about this unless you create, it's a kind of education system process that goes on for 25 years and 50 years. I think that we just need some kind of a anti-bully school or not bully school. Some kind of, virtues is the right way, because if you're a virtuous person, that you will not be bullying people. You are not interested in that. Simply, you lose the interest. And what's your interest then is? The interest is only one. Goodness, right? You help everyone around to get better, becoming a better human being. So that's what we do, right? That's what we meet here, we talk, and we simply try to do that here. Right, Dick was, right. We try to do that here. And you probably see now a little bit how hard it is. We have corrupted completely into the convenience of taking advantage. And whenever it is presented, it's an easy choice. And we can fall into that. It's really hard not to be, to resist the badness in the world. So it takes energy, takes hard choices. Release the advantages of taking advantage of the weaker in the world. So yes.
I was going to say, say the likes of Satguru, who like millions of people would follow in India and throughout the world. I think he is a really good example of teaching how we are all one, and that once you realize that, it's really hard to damage another human being, or it's really hard to damage the planet, because when you realize that the inside of your lungs is, is connected with the tree that's standing beside you. And when you realize that that's all one, then the kind of goodness is a natural response of that. And that I think he's doing a lot of good in the world for making people aware of that. And
yeah, that's good, right? That's beautiful if you can, if you can expand that, expand the imagination and feelings toward outside, and appreciate, goodness that's coming to you. That goodness is, tomatoes on your plate, right? That's goodness. How it started and how people, cared for those tomatoes to become and so on. And it's like that's why the Stoics, live according to nature with the responsibility of becoming a better human being, as you live, right? And never stop that. So that would be, these people that actually do those things, we should really seek for them. We should help them. We should be active in the process of that. And, you know, we slowly grow to become better people. It doesn't happen, you know, overnight, right? It took me 50 years or 40 years becoming better and better person. So I'm still on a journey. So it's a journey of life, and that journey of life should be somehow projected to all of us, that there is a journey of life, and there is a journey of life that you should be on, and you should be working on yourself, and you should reach for certain teachers. We should have those teachers, right, all over, those that teach this journey of life, their goodness. And I think that's probably the way to deal with the wholeness, because wholeness is still driven by something else, right? The opposite of that.
So Jersey, yesterday I shared with this group how, you know, my little story of the smile. But what was beneath that was that, you know, when I joined this group, I had no expectations other than learning exercises. But really quickly, I was launched into self-examination and a lot of very difficult things from my past that I had to work through that I wasn't expecting. So the hard choices became very real for me. And I believe that your teaching and everything that you're talking about led me or facilitated my transformation, which is so critical to heading towards the goodness. So, you know, we all, I guess at my age anyways, life was very busy, and then all of a sudden everything stopped with the pandemic. So I had that precious extra time, and coupled with the teachings and the discussions from this group, I delved into things that I wouldn't normally have touched, very painful things. And, you know, I started writing poetry and, you know, doing this journey of self-examination. So the little smile was just an anecdote to show the progress that I was feeling, that I had moved forward from dark places that I had abandoned and didn't want to go to. And the exercise was helpful too. I'm sure that the physical thing of committing to it and repetition and all of that. But so it is a journey, and it is important to find a group like this and someone like you to help facilitate that journey in a lot of people. You know, the goodness is there, but we have to figure out how to reconcile or deal with, you know, we've all had pain in our lives, we've all had difficulties, we've all had struggles, and recognize that, you know, wanting to be a better person is really important. The desire to move forward and to have an opportunity to make those changes is very precious. And so the little smiles come up for me.
Smile is good.
It's not like I don't see what's going on in the world or any of that, you know, so I didn't want to think it was frivolous. It was all hard work and all, you know, facilitated through this group, but it was all hard work on my part. But, you know, the initiative or whatever to join the group and then discovering this, you know, so it's been very, very productive, let's say, productive few weeks.
Yeah, thank you. Well, you know, it is really amazing that actually goodness can happen, right? And what a wonderful feeling is when actually it happens, you know, when you actually start feeling that you are becoming a person, good person, that really see the difference a little bit, right? It's a beautiful, powerful feeling, so inspiring, so motivating, like nothing else, you know, when you start really feeling that you are a little bit better person. Wow, that is very powerful. That journey will never stop. So we, we don't need much, right? We need just kind of, start this process, start this journeys somewhere with the person that the person feels that difference before and after. How does it feel, to be angry and not to be angry, or to be stressed and not to be stressed in the same situations? How does it feel to hate and drop it, right? Like you don't have it. It's just amazing things. How does it feel to be kind, right? How does it feel not to complain? Wow, it feels actually good. And it is like, okay, you will not get what you are whining for, right? But it feels good. And what you are whining for, maybe you don't need it anyway, right? It's like, like Martin Luther King, said that about that nonviolence. He said, we need to be ready that violence will be on us. It will happen on us because we are vulnerable and we are not violent, and violence will happen, and then the corrections will happen because of it. So it was just the same solidarity. We were aware that the violence can happen on us, right? So, and you have to be ready and be okay with that, that bullies will come and do what the bullies do, and let the world see that. That the time when it was in Selma, right? No, it was not Selma. It was another that ordinary hero in that movie. I don't remember what was the village, but
Anniston,
what?
Anniston, Alabama.
Yes, and so they went into this bar, and the mob surrounded that white, and the police would not really go in. And this mob for 2.5 hours, threw everything on these people, food and then cigarettes on the necks, and these people didn't react to that. They stayed. They kept calm. If not, they would be simply dead up there, right? And there were white and black people sitting. So the Jane, was sitting at this bar, and there was maybe 100 white, angry, boys, powerful like hell, right? All around them. Outside was police force, media, and so on. So you see that when you become a good human being, you have to be okay that the violence will happen to you. But it's just not like Martin Luther King said, like cheek for cheek or something. It does not give you other cheek. It's like non-violence resistance is powerful. It's really not only about, giving your other cheek, because also because of that, some things happen and consequences happen too. And we, could be that we progress because of it.
Jersey, have you seen the movie The Great Santini or read Pat Conroy's book?
No, I don't think so.
Robert Duvall plays the Great Santini in the movie, and a bully dad. He was a Marine Corps pilot, but I was raised by somebody like the Great Santini. My parents had 8 kids, one right after another. I'm the oldest. The first 6 are boys, and my father really knocked the shit out of us on a regular basis. And one night was particularly bad. And the next day when my father went to work, my mother had to find houses, places for all of us to live. I'm sorry for breaking up here. And she did. And the first 3 boys, we stayed in a rectory. The very good parish priest took us in for about a month until the bully was removed, as you said earlier. The State Supreme Court of New York prohibited my father from participating in family events. And so we got over it. I was in my second year of high school then. And again, I'm the oldest of 8 kids. First 6 were boys. No money, laundromats, didn't watch TV, never saw the Beatles and Ed Sullivan. But anyhow, we got through that, and we found and we looked for goodness, and we found it. And I found life much more upbeat and optimistic than you're portraying. I'll pause here a little bit, but I wanted to get that off my chest for a couple of days since you started talking about bullying on Tuesday. And then I loved the virtue yesterday, helping others to control themselves is magical, because there were a lot of great people that helped my family out. So anyhow, thank you for letting me get that off my chest.
Yeah, thank you for sharing it. You see, and you don't bully your children, right? Didn't hear.
I have a terrific, loving family. I've been married for 40 years, and everything's wonderful on the home front. And
You never bullied your children, right?
Of course not.
Yeah, you see, you stop. You know, my father was beating me with electrical cord, and I was under the table, and I was jumping under the table with different directions, and he was running around the table and hitting my legs.
Don't make me cry.
Okay, but I said, it stops with me. It will not go. See, we need this stop somewhere. How are we going to stop, right? So it's a magic, actually. I don't even know how it stopped, that I stopped. I don't know what happened to me, that I would never do such a thing, right? What he did.
Agreed.
But it's an amazing shift, and actually when it happens, when you stop, and you don't do that, and you will never do that, right? Where is it coming? I don't know where is it coming, really. I don't know how it happened to me, that one day I realized that I'm not going to be my father. I'm not going to do what he did.
Right on.
Yeah?
I'm with you, brother.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank
and
you.
then, the thing is that, it's like, as I teach, my whole life, I see that something is going on with the way that we are together, and the way that we exchange words together, which we exchange thoughts together, we exchange stories together, and somewhere between the stories and these poems and so on, we get it. We get it that we will never be our parents if they were violent, right? And we stop. And I think that only that thing, that what we have, that actually we have to, we have to, be with other people. We have to talk to other people, and we have to keep that constant conversation about the virtues and the goodness, and sharing. It takes time, right, to say such a thing, what you said, right? And it's just, almost anybody experiences this, right? It's just not like, but the progress is there, because you became a good person, to your family. And I became a good person to my family. Coming from that family, wow, my father was vicious, violent. I mean, very, very violent. yeah, you could, and you know, you get stuck in this family that, you know, you cannot be removed. Yeah, you were just lucky with kind of your mom removed you from that place. We didn't have that situation. You know, the father would continue to be violent throughout our life, and then I didn't have the opening to go anywhere. I had to stay home, be beaten, and that's it, and be okay with that until, you know, like get, you know, become older, and then you can be somewhere somehow on your own.
And we made it.
Sure.
And one, yeah.
It's a good thing, a great thing that, you know, we came from violence, and we are not violent. So that's amazing thing. And I think that, you know, when white people come from really in America from being racist and they stop that, that is an amazing thing, right? That's an amazing thing for that human being, right? And how does it happen? It just happens because how we, you know, somehow we live the world with, you know, we are blessed with other people somehow come to our world and tell us that it's good to stop. Somehow we get the message somewhere that it's good to stop. It's the right thing to stop and not do it. I think that education has something to do with it, because once we educate ourselves, we meet others and become more, you know, with a reason, you know, and we become more intelligent. And Confucius could be that he was really right about the education is the first thing, the most important. He said that education can eliminate classes. And classes is, you know, metaphor for almost any differences, racist or not racist, right? You know, rapists or not. Classes between this. And that could eliminate and start really delivering the message to those who are horrible and locked in life, extremely depressed, to deliver them the message that it doesn't have to be really that way. What a wonderful message, right? And, you know, I saw it in my life, and I saw, you know, sometimes it is given to you back, you know, and sometimes I heard, you know that about the right words in the right time to the right person. And I thought about this long time, and then it cannot be really discovered in which words and which person. It has to be experienced. So we go on with meetings and meetings and meetings, and we really have to drop the idea that we would even know what words and when and how it works. But what works really is being together, working toward the goodness, like the Happy Body, is opening this dialogue. It's opening this dialogue because it's a constant work toward goodness. And no matter what, it transcends itself everywhere else. And that's a good thing. Thank you. Anyone else wants to share something?
I just like to share an observation. I had a moment there where my whole stomach, abdomen just absolutely relaxed. And I just wrote down that you didn't change the bully, but you rose above the behavior and changed your own behavior, and which was a very, very positive thing. And so I've been fighting the idea, I guess. Maybe I've taken a step away from or towards my master, but I feel that I've been too busy trying to figure out a plan to change the bullies. And what I really need to do is make sure that I've lived my virtues and live up to my virtues myself. So, and you didn't spend time trying to change the bully. Well, you didn't have the opportunity, either of you, but you did change yourself. So there's something where you have to take a step back and review where you're putting your energy, I guess. And thank you both for sharing too.
Yeah, thank you. Well, from you, I hear that you're turning into yourself, and when you're turning into yourself, you're turning into, being okay, accepting self-control, and that is what is really extremely needed in the world. That we control ourselves, right? Because once we control ourselves, we are only needing only one thing, what is good. And then there's a whole Stoicism is based on that, self-control and virtues. And no matter what is written beyond that, it covers by these 4 words. If you can control yourself and be a virtuous person, that's it. This is the goodness on the planet. And pursuing this is a noble thing to do in life. I just cannot imagine anything else to do in my years of my life that are left for me. What else I would do? That nothing is bigger than that. Nothing is bigger than that. So why I would do something else, right? This is like my daughter would say, "Dad is sick," right? It's like a funny way. Yeah, it gives me really great feelings and energy and and meaning to my life. That's why I'm really about like I'm thinking for a long time about logotherapy, right? And why that actually didn't succeed in the world as a therapy that would be well known. I don't know. Is it the system somehow, or people are not embracing it? It's like Stoicism. It's just maybe too hard for us, or the journey is not micro-progressive, or it's run by people that are simply they are not complete, they are not good, and derail very easily from it. It's really hard to say. But I must say that I'm happy what I do. That's a wonderful thing to do, and I hope that you will be doing the same thing until you die. And spreading the goodness in the world is you cannot be something bigger than that. It's a noble thing to do, and examining that is worth of fighting and living for, right? So here we go. Somebody did write something about our virtue. I think that we are, I think, or I feel, is there anybody who would like to write something, read something about it? It's a quite interesting virtue, right, that we are exploring this week. All right, let's, nobody?
I just wanted to let you know, Jersey, I've been letting it all sink in. It's been really hard to write about it because I'm still turning it all over and seeing what it all feels like.
Right, you know, and I don't know where to go either. You know, it's like it's sinking into me too.
Especially because there's 3 components to this virtue, and all of them are very hard.
Yeah.
So I guess if we're on the feel, I don't think we're on feel, I think we're on understand, but maybe we're on feel. I feel they're very hard, and but the rewards are so great.
Yeah. Yes. You know, it's like I have this a poem that I wrote about, you know, a child, and the child is living and is exposed to the goodness in the world, but you know, we simply don't believe that it's true. Like I've never believed that unconditional love exists until I saw Jerzy Popiełuszko, right? So even though it was all around, because Aniela had some of it and my mother had, but they also had other things, right? So this purity that Jerzy had was just like striking. It's, striking. So when you were around Jerzy, even you could be far away, right? Like, but 20, 30 feet, you felt that. You felt that, you know, that human being embraces you. You felt that from afar. And you felt good about that. It's amazing, you know, when it's projected.
So I'll read what I wrote about, I think. Or do you want to move on?
I have to read you the poem then. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Let me hear.
I'd already muted again. So I wrote, I think I think too much at times. And when I think about self-control, I think it's sometimes overrated. Like it's a clamp down on spontaneity or pure joyful expression. I think the areas in my life where I have control of myself, I no longer view them as control, but more of my nature or second nature. And I think that I have mastery of sorts in those areas. So I no longer think of them as a control issue. And I have had control issues. I still have control issues. Perhaps I need to shift my thinking about control to one of mastery and ask, do I want mastery in this area of my life? Do I want to master how I eat, how I exercise, how I relax and restore myself? And the question to all of those are yes, otherwise I wouldn't have been here since March 21st. And what I realized that the other missing question is mastery over the goodness, or I wouldn't have done Hard Choices, Easy Life.
Right. So, you know, it's a really interesting mixture here that we are expanding from Socrates and from Stoics, because Stoics were about respond and controlling respond to the world, right, to the outside world. But also Socrates opened this opening that how to live life, right? That living life that, living to eat is not really a good thing, right? So it was also looking to the outside and have self-discipline to controlling how we live. What is our really behavior, not only to our response, but also it's outside. So when you look at the happy body, that is getting even deeper than that, because it goes into exercise, like you said. It goes to meditation and eating and calming yourself down. It becomes bigger. It's harder, but it's more element of self-control somewhere else, and controlling the outside, not only inside, but also controlling outside with the idea, what is really up to me, right? And even though I know that it's okay to be ill and it's okay to be healthy, it's okay to be rich and it's okay to be poor, right? And I will deal with that, right? And that is not going to drive my life, right? The virtues will, but not this. But even though we are like that, we still will do something when we can, when the goodness for the body can happen. And the goodness can happen if we eat to live. And Socrates saw it, right? So we can have answering Socrates' question, right? How to really eat, how to eat for living, right? How to exercise for living, how to live for that living, right? That way. So, and the happy body is a dialogue that we are continuing from Socrates. And as I said, an opening to it. We are so mixed now because with the control yourself and this ability to control yourself and making the world a little bit better when it comes to the physical, it is juxtaposed with virtues. Because you could control yourself and be a horrible person. So here is the situation that how the juxtaposition works with self-control and virtues. Because, Nazis were really in self-control. They were really great in control, right? And they were really designing, and creating, best ovens to burn the most people in a short period of time. So, they were really great engineers, and self-control was amazing to create the Holocaust, right? These people sent to Poland on the September 1st planes, and in the morning when children were going to school, because September 1st is the day when children go to school in Poland. September 1st, the Second World War started, and it started with planes coming into Poland and shooting the children when they were going to school. Right? No virtues, you see? That's Nazi Germany. It's an extreme no virtues, self-control, the extreme control, and no virtues.
So what happened on September 1st, Jerzy?
They started the Second World War by sending planes to Poland and shooting children when they were going to school, because September 1st is children are going to school. And so they have these children on the roads everywhere going to school. In the morning, Nazi Germany sent planes to Poland.
And did they bomb using the planes, or what did the planes do?
They bombed children and everybody on the road and shoot everybody they could.
I see. Okay. I just wanted to be clear. Thank you.
What's that called, Jerzy? What's the name of the event?
because I can sense that, you know, everybody knows about it in Poland, but maybe we don't.
It's September 1st. It's the beginning of the Second World War.
Okay, but it's not like a special, known under a special event in Poland because the war started at different dates all over Europe.
No, it's the September 1st. September 1st, children go to school in Poland, all children.
Okay.
So this is not like here that is a different day. In Poland, it's September 1st. September 1st is the beginning of the war. So that is the perfect day to send planes, yeah?
So basically the point that you're making is after the holiday, they waited until after the holidays, the first day back at school for everyone, and that's the day
Yeah.
they then chose.
Yeah, they chose the day when the kids were going to school to start the war, right? They were really good, right?
So high control and no virtue.
Yeah, the virtue of killing, right? There is no virtue in that, but that's like, yeah, wow.
Well, it's the Nazi killing machine, right? It's the,
Yeah. What
right.
a horrible human being you have to be, no? And thousands and thousands of them, right? Thousands and thousands. And how we can comprehend? You know, Jews couldn't understand what was happening in when some of them in the Holocaust, and some of them when they escaped and they went east and started, you know, warning the other Jews in Kovno and other places. They were saying, you know, what is happening is different than ever. Because for thousands of years, they lived in Poland and in Germany and in Russia, right? And they lived through pogroms and, other, horrible times. But they were reporting something else. They said, you know, it is really different now. It is always that, you know, they would enslave us and then we would work with them and then it would pass. But now it's different. They are exterminating us. They don't want us. They don't want our work. They don't want anything. They want to get rid of us. They are exterminating us. It's different. And the Jews in Kovno and other places would not really trust them. They couldn't imagine that something like that happened. Yeah. It's just unimaginable for people, even though we're told that was happening, unimaginable that it was actually happening. That is the Holocaust.
It still is.
Yeah, it's like it's hard to see it where it is, right? You know, in that scale, what was happening there, right? It was this extermination thing. Yeah, the pursuit of getting rid of people. In some, areas in the world, right? Still is, right? Okay, so I will read you the poem. Even in the icy river, every morning, I walk into the church where Jerzy Popiełuszko, the Warsaw Steel Factory priest, prayed with the workers. Usually at the beginning of a sermon, he lifted his eyelids and kept looking until the silence brought us back from yesterday. Then he covered his hollow cheeks with his long fingers and began, "Love, open our fists." He traveled from one church to another, but one day in the early morning, 4 policemen stopped his car. They threw his body into the trunk and drove to the nearby forest, where they hid him with metal clubs screaming, "Open our fists! Open our fists! Where is your love?" They couldn't see that he had already left, that he kept his head down, praying for them, even when they tightened a rope around his feet and attached rocks, even when they cut his stomach, and even when they threw his body into the icy river, the river we drink water from. Okay, guys. See you tomorrow.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jersey. Thanks, Ed, and everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Take care, everyone. Special group here.
Very special.
Thanks, Jersey. It's going to take a while to process that. Thank you.